Hello world, this is Wilson with Easy Homemade Alcohol. Today I'm going to show you how I run one of my older homemade stills. So this was my first still I ever made. All it is a pot. There's nothing special about it with a lid. So on the lid, it's got 4 holes in it. You only need 1 hole, or 2 holes, sorry. You need the connection to your condenser or your worm and your thermometer. I put this on here because I was using a pressure relief. If it got over a certain amount of pressure, it would bleed off. And then this one was a pressure gauge, so it could tell me how much pressure was building. Obviously, it was my first still. I didn't really know what I was doing. One of the things I did, I took food grade heat-resistant silicone, and I ran silicone through here. Found out it was not super needed. You can actually take flour and water paste the edge of it, and put it in here, or put it on the edge, and then put this on. And it's perfectly about the same. So for my condenser, I use a 5-gallon bucket with coiled copper wire in it. Coiled copper hose in it, 1/4 inch. This copper hose is way too long. Like I said, this is my first time doing it. I don't think going too long is a problem. I think going too short might be a problem, but that one is fairly long. My connection is just a copper line connection to a 1/2 inch 90 to a 1/2 inch straight. This is a Hasselloy. It's just a convenient piece that I had at one of my jobs I was working at, leftover. All I'm going to do is put 2 washers on here and 2 spanner bolts or spanner nuts, and I'm just going to grip around the center hole. And this thing, put my thermometer in here. What I'm running today is a sugar wash. Nothing really special. I've had this for about 3 or 4 months now. Something happened to it. Stopped fermenting, so I added some more. So I added more yeast to it, different kinds of yeast to try to get it to ferment. I have no idea what this starting gravity was. Kind of chip-balled that whole thing. So I'm going to just run it off. So I got this video, and my next video will be my 2 homemade stills, my older homemade stills. And get this one fired up. I'll show you how it looks when it's running, and I'll show you some of my add-ons that I like to put on sometimes, but this is all I'm going to have today. Just let this one run. You guys don't need to sit here and watch it for an hour waiting for this fucker to heat up, but alright, see you in a second. Alright, I'm back. I got everything almost set up. I don't have water in my condenser yet, but everything else is looking pretty good. So my pot, I got the lid, has to be held on. I use little tiny 2-inch C-clamps. You don't have to use C-clamps. You can also use little wood clamps or vice grips or whatever you got around, just to help hold the lid down. I plugged the other holes. Let's give you a closer look. Oops. I plugged the other holes with just black plugs, so there's nothing's coming out of there. And then my condenser, I made it just big enough that you can fit a frozen gallon of water down there. Put a second frozen gallon right on top, and then I fill it up with water, and I get 2 gallons. 2 gallons will usually do me a 1.5 gallons of wash. Usually, that variation seems to work pretty well for me. Since it's 1.5 gallons, I'm figuring it's probably 10% at best. So I'm getting about 12 ounces of alcohol out of here at best. But I'll always take the first 50 mils, dump it, get rid of the methanol. And then if you're looking to get single barrel Jack Daniels out of here, or some 12-year Scotch out of here, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that flavor. You're going to get alcohol. If you want to make mixed drinks with your alcohol, you can make mixed drinks with your alcohol. It'll be perfectly fine for that. But if you're going to this is not going to be amazing alcohol. This is easy way to make cheap homemade liquor, and it's fun and it gives you something to do. It's not horrible. I take that. It's not horrible, but it is not going to be award-winning whiskey by any means, or vodka. This is only going to put out about 60% alcohol, or some people would like to use proof, 120 proof. So it'll be 120 to 140 proof alcohol coming out of this. It's not great, but it's good. It works. I can make flavors and I can carry flavors over. Next time I will show you some of my adaptations you can throw onto this beast that are really easy to make at home also. And I will get them set up for you. Alright, so the first adaptation was this beast. All this is a 2-inch copper pipe with a 2-inch to 1/2 inch reducer on both ends, and it's 90s. This ideally would have sat on top of here, and I was under the impression it was going to be more of a reflux tower, but it turned out to be more of a more of a slaughter box is actually what it kind of turned out to. I don't really know if it did any good or not. I used it a bunch of times. It did help my proof, step my proof up about 5-10%. But it was fun. I tried it. So ideally, condensation would come up in here. The heavier stuff would hit the edges of this and rotate back down, and everything would gather up at the top and cross over. That was the cleanest and the purest. Also, the copper sulfates help remove a lot of the ammonia sulfates. Another thing I added was this beauty. This is I made these little thumpers. That's not very good. There you go. I made these little thumpers. They go inside of a wide mouth mason jar, and they connect onto here. It goes down, comes out the top. And this is what it would generally look like inside the mason jar. The nice part about this was you could put, fruit in here, or cinnamon sticks, or, one time I did like apple pie spices. But it works really well. There's an extra hole on top for a thermometer, so I keep track of the thermometer. This also is not very scientific about the temperature control process on it. So having one of these, I can run this a little bit hotter, and this also helped reduce the temperature to, drop the temperature back down to, your 170s where you want to be producing your alcohol. So these are really easy to make. I'm sure a lot of brew shops have them, but I just took a piece of stainless steel, cut a hole in it, welded some pipes and some threaded nipples on there. Don't use them a lot. Don't use any of this stuff anymore a lot. I recently purchased a still, but we'll get into that later. But this is a fun, if you got nothing else to do, you want to try something, you're good at welding, do this. I've also seen these with plastic caps. If you get a food grade, heat resistant plastic cap, you can use a plastic cap, cut a hole in it, and use food grade silicone. Works the same. Just got to make sure that it's temperate silicone or temperate food grade, because it's going to get hot, 170, 180 degrees, and you don't want to start leaching out any kind of chemical flavors or any kind of bad stuff. So we'll come back to this as soon as we start getting full. Alright, so we're back. Everything seems to be running. I did have some leakage out of the top of here. That's why I used an electric burner, because it does tend to leak a little bit. This is my first little bit I got out of here. It's about 50 mils. Seems to be running good. This is what was my first. Let's see if I can figure out how this thing works. Oh, yeah, you can see that. Maybe running a little quick. I could probably slow it down a little bit, but it's first example purposes only. I'll probably get a beer can size of good liquor that I will want to keep. I'll get probably 2 or 3 beer can sizes of actual liquor, but probably only one of them I'll want to keep because it won't have the burn of the rubbing alcohol, but it won't have the oils. Because at the beginning, when you first start getting alcohol, this methanol and your hearts or your heads are going to be a lot of rubbing alcohol ether, and it's going to be strong and it's going to burn. I don't really care for that. And at the tails, you're going to get all your oils, all those nasty oils that give you the real hangovers. So I will take 3 or 4 of these little guys right here and set them all up, and I'll taste them and blend them a little bit, and then come up with a mason jar size, a nice big mason jar size of 40 to 50% alcohol. Then yeah, it'll be a neutral spirit, so I'll use it for my mixed drinks, and it's kind of a cheap spirit. And I'm just surprised this old girl's still running. All right, so this is my easy homemade alcohol pot still, an actual pot. My next video, I'll show you how I turned a pressure cooker. Works a little bit better. It does still, but thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.